The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke rose from the broken land like ghosts from a forgotten war. Ash and metal scraps covered everything. In the middle of it all, Cole moved carefully. He wore an old oxygen mask and a torn jacket. His boots crunched against the glassy dirt as he stepped over the ruins of machines, bones, and burned-out weapons. He wasn't a soldier. Not anymore. Years ago, Cole had fought in the Earth Defense Force, but now he was just a scavenger, one of the many humans left behind after the last great alien war. He searched old war zones for anything useful: metal, tech, wires, things he could trade in the nearby outpost. It wasn't a good life, but it was better than starving. As he reached the top of a collapsed bunker, he stopped. Something moved below him. It wasn't wind, it wasn't smoke. It was someone, or something, crawling through the wreckage. Cole dropped to one knee and pulled out his old scope. He focused it on the rubble. At first he thought it was just another dead body in alien armor. It was tall, silver blue, and bulky. But then the armor twitched. One arm reached out. The figure rolled slightly and then fell still again, alive. Cole looked around. No other movement, no enemy drones, no signs of a trap. Still, it could be dangerous. He had heard stories. Some alien warriors had built-in weapons inside their suits. Others had toxins in their armor. But this one looked broken. Sparks came from the shoulder. The helmet had a deep crack. Cole carefully climbed down the slope, keeping his distance. The figure didn't move again. He stood 5 steps away and raised his voice. "Hey, can you hear me?" No answer. He moved closer. Then the figure suddenly raised a shaking hand. It pointed weakly at Cole. A soft voice came from the helmet, distorted but clear enough. "Please, can't. Breathe." It was a woman's voice. Cole froze. He hadn't expected that. She reached up again, her fingers clawing at the helmet's sides. It looked like she was trying to take it off but couldn't. Her strength was gone. Cole hesitated. He looked at the armor more closely. It was advanced alien tech. Layers of energy shielding, steel alloy plating, internal support. But now, it was barely holding together. The chest piece hissed with steam. The air vents were stuck. She really couldn't breathe in there. If he didn't help, she might die. Cole made his choice. He knelt beside her and placed one hand gently on her shoulder. "I'm going to help. Don't move," he said calmly. Her body trembled, but she didn't resist. Cole pulled out his old tools from his backpack. With careful hands, he started working on the helmet's locking rings. The design was strange, definitely not human, but he could guess where the release points were. Click. One lock popped. A soft gasp came from inside the helmet. Cole worked faster. Click. Another lock. The helmet made a warning sound, like a dying machine. He looked down at her. "Stay with me." Her fingers gripped the dirt. She nodded weakly. The final lock gave way. Cole took a deep breath and gently lifted the helmet. Steam rushed out. Warm air hit his face. And then, he saw her. She had soft, pale blue skin with a hint of violet. Her features were smooth, her lips full and dry, her cheeks marked by faint natural patterns like light brushstrokes. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her ears were small, curved slightly like petals. Her long hair, damp with sweat, was silver white and clung to her face. And her eyes, when they slowly opened, were bright violet with a deep glow, but filled with fear and exhaustion. She stared at him. He stared back. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then she let out a long, shaky breath. "Thank you," she whispered, and her body went limp. Cole caught her before she fell completely. She was lighter than he expected, despite the armor. Carefully, he lifted her into his arms and looked around. He couldn't leave her here, not with drones and wild creatures roaming the area at night. He turned back toward the path he came from. "I hope you're not dangerous," he muttered, "because I just risked everything to save you." And with that, he carried her through the smoke, the dead silence of war behind them, and a new mystery in his arms. The sun was starting to set when Cole reached his shelter. It was an old storage container half buried under rocks. He had fixed it up over the years, patched the roof, added solar panels, even set up a basic purifier for water. It wasn't much, but it was safe. More importantly, it was hidden. He pushed the door open with his shoulder, still holding the unconscious alien woman in his arms. Inside, the lights flickered on, soft and yellow. The room was small, just a bed, a workbench, and a few shelves of supplies. Cole gently laid her down on the bed. Her armor made a dull thud against the old mattress. Her breathing was shallow but steady. He knelt beside her and checked her pulse like he had been trained to do long ago. It was weak, but present. He stood up and sighed. "What the hell am I doing?" he asked himself softly. Helping her might get him into trouble. The human outpost nearby didn't like aliens, especially ones in armor. If they found out she was here, they might send a drone to take her away. Or worse. But something about her had stopped him from walking away. Maybe it was the way she looked at him. Maybe it was how human her fear had felt. Or maybe deep down, Cole was just tired of watching everyone turn cold. He grabbed a bottle of water and a clean cloth. Then he sat beside her and gently dabbed her forehead. Her skin was cool, soft, and slightly glowing under the light. Minutes passed. Then finally she moved. Her eyes fluttered open. She blinked a few times, then looked around the room in confusion. "You're safe," Cole said gently. "You passed out. I brought you here." She looked at him, then tried to sit up. Pain shot through her side, and she winced. "Easy," he said. "You're hurt. Don't move too fast." She took a few slow breaths, still watching him like she wasn't sure if he was friend or foe. Then she whispered, "My name is Arya." Cole nodded. "I'm Cole." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Arya reached up and touched her chest plate. She winced again. "My armor," she said. "It's too tight. Still hurting." Cole leaned closer. "You want me to remove the rest?" She nodded slowly. "Please." He looked at the armor. It had sealed tightly across her ribs and stomach. If it didn't come off soon, it might cut off her circulation. But taking off the rest of the suit was risky. He had never worked with alien armor systems before. One wrong move could trigger a defense mechanism. Still, he couldn't just let her suffer. "All right," he said. "I'll do it. Just don't move." Cole grabbed his toolkit again and began working. The chest plate was more complicated than the helmet. He found more locks, hidden beneath small panels. As he opened each one, the armor hissed and loosened. Arya's breath slowed. Her body relaxed. Finally, Cole pulled the chest plate off and set it on the floor. Beneath it, she wore a thin black undersuit, damaged, but still covering her. He made sure not to look for too long. He wasn't here to stare. "There," he said. "Better?" Arya nodded. "Much." She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "You could have left me there," she said. "Why didn't you?" Cole leaned back and sat on the edge of the bed. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe because I saw someone in pain. Maybe because you asked for help and no one else would have." Arya stared at him. "Your people don't trust mine." "I know," he said, "but I'm not my people. Not anymore." She smiled softly, just for a second, then winced again. Cole stood up. "You need food. Water, too. Stay here." He walked to the shelf and returned with a bottle and a small pack of dried fruit. Arya reached for the water and drank slowly. She coughed once, then kept going. "Thank you," she said again. He nodded. After a moment, she looked down at her cracked armor lying beside the bed. "I was part of a warrior caste," she said quietly. "We are never supposed to remove our armor. It is part of us. But it became a prison." Cole frowned. "A prison?" She looked at him. Her eyes were sad now. I was forced into a mission, one I didn't agree with. We were told to wipe out a village. Non-combatants, children. I refused. Cole's hands froze. They marked me a traitor, she said. Shot down my ship, left me for dead. Now he understood. She hadn't just been injured, she had been hunted. You're lucky I found you, he said. Arya nodded slowly. I didn't expect kindness, not from a human. Cole smirked. Guess we both have surprises. For the first time, she let out a small laugh. Then her expression turned serious again. They'll come looking, she said. They won't let me go so easily. Cole looked out the small window. The stars were starting to appear. The quiet night didn't feel so peaceful anymore. Well, he said calmly, if they come, we'll deal with it. Arya tilted her head. You'd risk yourself for me? He didn't answer right away. Then he looked her in the eyes and said, You asked for help. That's all I need to hear. She blinked, then looked down like she didn't know what to say. The room fell quiet again, but it was a different kind of silence now. Soft, warm, and filled with something new. Trust. Cole stood up. Rest. I'll keep watch. Arya nodded, and slowly closed her eyes. And as Cole sat by the door with his old rifle in his hands, he realized something strange. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel alone. The next morning came with a soft wind and a quiet sky. Cole stood outside his shelter, scanning the horizon through his old binoculars. The area looked peaceful, but he knew better. Peace never lasted long in places like this. He heard soft footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw Arya standing in the doorway. She was wrapped in one of his long jackets, the damaged black undersuit still underneath. Her silver-white hair was tied loosely behind her head, and her soft violet-blue skin glowed slightly in the early light. She looked weaker than the night before, but she was standing, alive, alert. You should be resting, Cole said. Arya shook her head slowly. I've rested enough. I didn't want to just lie there while you took all the risk. Cole gave a half smile. You're not a guest here. You're a survivor. That makes us equal. Arya walked out and sat on a rock near the shelter's entrance. She looked up at the sky. It was bright and open with no enemy ships or drones, at least for now. Cole handed her a piece of protein bar and sat beside her. She took a small bite, chewing slowly. This world is quiet, she said. Too quiet sometimes, Cole replied, but that's why I stay. The war ended, but the galaxy hasn't stopped fighting. This place lets me breathe. Arya looked at him. I couldn't breathe in my own armor. Her words carried weight. Cole looked at her face, fully visible now in daylight. Without the helmet, she looked more like a person than a soldier. Her eyes, though bright and alien, showed emotion, tiredness, pain, but also something calm. He wanted to ask questions, but he waited. She broke the silence first. My people built that armor, for battle, not comfort. It's meant to protect, to hide, to control. Once you wear it, you are not allowed to remove it, not even in sleep. Why? Cole asked. It's our law. The armor is our identity. It proves loyalty to the caste. And if you take it off, you become an outcast. Cole let that sink in. So by asking me to remove it, you chose exile? Arya nodded slowly. I had no choice. I could feel it crushing my chest. I didn't want to die that way. Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I've seen a lot of armor in my time, but never one that hides a face like yours. She looked at him, surprised. He quickly added, I mean, you're not what I expected. I thought I'd find a machine under there, or something dangerous. Arya smiled a little. Do I look dangerous now? Cole grinned. A little, but not in the way I feared. She laughed softly, an honest laugh. This time, it made him feel strange, like he hadn't heard laughter in years. She looked at him again, more seriously this time. You didn't just save me from dying. You helped me be free. He shifted slightly. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did, she said. No one ever dared to look at me and see something human. Cole looked away for a second, pretending to check the scanner on his wrist. It showed no signs of movement nearby. You should stay hidden for a few more days, he said. Give your body time to heal. Arya nodded, then her expression changed. I should warn you. If they know I'm alive, they will send others. Hunters. Cole stiffened. Here? Maybe. My armor had a tracking device, but I damaged it before crashing. Still, they may search this region. Cole stood up and walked toward the pile of alien armor. He examined the pieces carefully. The helmet was beyond repair, but the chest plate still had some active circuits. There's power left in this, he said. If they scan this area, they could still find a signal. Arya joined him, her face tense. We need to shut it down. Completely, she said. Cole nodded. He pulled out a wire cutter and disconnected the internal battery core. The armor lights blinked once, then died. There, he said. Now it's just scrap metal. She exhaled in relief. Thanks, she said. Again. Cole looked at her. You don't owe me anything, but if you want to repay me, tell me your story. I want to understand why someone like you ended up in that suit, dying alone. Arya sat back on the edge of the bed inside the shelter and began to speak. I was born in a noble house of the Valari Empire, trained from a young age to serve in the Royal Guard. Our caste was built for war. We were praised for our strength, feared for our silence. But I never wanted war. I wanted to see other worlds, learn from other species. I asked questions they didn't like. She paused. One day our ship received an order to attack a refugee transport. I refused. I said no. And that was all it took. Cole listened closely. They declared me a traitor, fired on my pod when I tried to escape. I barely made it to this planet. Cole looked at her and said, You were brave to say no. Arya shook her head. I was scared, but I couldn't let fear decide who I become. Cole stood silently for a moment, then spoke. I think you're stronger than any armor. She looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. You don't know what that means to me. They sat in silence again, but this time it felt like a shared silence. Not empty, but peaceful. Outside, the sky darkened as the sun dipped low. Cole looked at the sky, then back at her. You should get some rest. I'll keep watch tonight. Arya hesitated, then nodded. Thank you, Cole. As she lay back on the bed, Cole stood near the doorway, rifle in hand and eyes sharp. He didn't know what would come next. He didn't know if the hunters would arrive. But he did know one thing. She wasn't just another alien. She was a person who made a choice no one else dared to, and that choice had brought them both to this moment. Together. The days passed quietly, but tension grew like a storm in the distance. Cole and Arya learned to live in the small shelter, sharing food, stories, and silence. The bond between them grew stronger, built on trust and the knowledge that danger was never far away. Cole studied the alien armor pieces more closely, trying to understand their technology. The chest plate had strange symbols and intricate circuits. He carefully took apart some of the inner layers, hoping to find a way to disable any signal that might lead their enemies to the shelter. Arya watched him, her violet eyes sometimes shining with hope, sometimes clouded with worry. One evening, as the sky turned a deep red, Arya finally spoke. There is more you need to know, she said quietly. Cole stopped working and looked at her. I'm listening. She took a deep breath and began. My people, the Valari, are divided into many castes, warriors, scholars, diplomats, and others. The armor I wore is a symbol of my rank in the warrior caste, but it is also a shackle. Cole frowned. A shackle? Yes, it controls us. Each piece contains sensors and locks. If a warrior tries to remove the armor without permission, the system reacts. Sometimes it paralyzes the wearer. Sometimes it emits a toxin. It is designed to keep us loyal, to make us obey. Cole's eyes widened. That's terrible. Arya nodded. It is why I could not breathe. Because the armor was fighting me, trying to keep me inside. He shook his head. I don't understand how you lived like that. She looked down. Most don't notice. We learn to live with the pain, the control. We lose ourselves to the armor. But I wanted to be free. I wanted to choose. Cole's voice was low. And because you chose, they hunted you. Arya's eyes met his. Yes, I betrayed the caste. I refused an order to attack innocent people. They said I was a traitor, a threat. They sent assassins after me. Cole's mind raced. Then those hunters might be close now. She nodded. Maybe. They have drones that scan for my signal. But I destroyed the tracking device before I crashed. If they find it here, it will be a fight. Cole stood and paced the room. We can't stay here forever, he said. If they come, we need to be ready. Arya stood, determination in her voice. Then we will fight. Together. Cole looked at her, surprised. You're serious? Yes, she said firmly. I don't want to run anymore. He smiled, feeling a spark of hope. Good. Because I'm not going to let you face this alone. They spent the night preparing. Cole cleaned and checked his rifle. Arya studied the armor pieces, trying to find weaknesses or tools they could use. They made plans for escape routes, traps, and signals. At dawn, Cole took a moment outside. The sky was clear, but the air felt heavy. He heard a faint noise behind him, a low hum. His hand went to his rifle immediately. Arya appeared beside him, alert. Drones, she whispered. Far in the distance, small machines glided over the hills. Their shapes were sleek and their red sensors swept the ground. They're searching, Cole said. Arya's face hardened. We must move. Cole nodded. They packed their few belongings and took the damaged armor with them. Cole carried Arya, who was still weak from her injuries. The journey was slow and dangerous. The drones scanned every hill, every valley. But Cole knew the land well. He used old tunnels and hidden paths to avoid detection. Hours passed. Finally, they reached a hidden cave deep in the forest, a place Cole had discovered long ago but never explored. Inside it was cool and dark, safe for now. Arya sat on a stone and looked at Cole. You saved me, she said softly. I owe you my life. He shook his head. You don't owe me anything. She smiled, faint but real. Maybe one day I will repay you. Cole smiled back. For now, they both knew they had to survive. Outside, the drones continued their search, unaware that two souls, once strangers, were now bound by trust in a shared fight for freedom. The forest around the cave was calm and quiet, but both Cole and Arya knew it was only a matter of time before the hunters found them. The drones had been searching all day, scanning every inch of the land. Cole sat near the cave entrance, his rifle resting across his knees, eyes sharp and alert. Arya was inside, tending to the small fire they had made. She was still weak, but each day she grew stronger. Do you think they will come here? Arya asked quietly as she stirred the flames. Cole looked up at the trees swaying softly in the evening breeze. They're persistent, they won't stop until they find you, but I won't let that happen. Arya nodded slowly. You are brave. Humans are different from what I thought. Cole smiled. I guess I'm full of surprises. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars appear one by one. After some time, Arya spoke again. Tell me about Earth, she said softly. I want to know the world you come from. Cole chuckled. It's not perfect, but it's home. Mountains, oceans, cities full of people, lights in the sky at night. And it has a kind of freedom that your armor tries to stop. Arya looked up at the sky as if imagining those distant lights. Freedom, she whispered. I want to feel that. Cole leaned back and looked at the stars. Freedom comes from choices, from standing up for yourself, from trust. Arya met his gaze. You trust me? More than you know. Her lips curled into a small smile. Suddenly, a distant sound broke the quiet, a low hum, growing louder. Cole's eyes snapped open. He stood and pointed toward the trees. Drones. Arya was already moving, grabbing a small bag and slipping into her undersuit. Cole grabbed his rifle, ready. The humming grew louder. The red lights of the drones appeared, shining through the trees like watchful eyes. They found us, Cole said calmly. Arya stepped beside him, her hands steady despite the danger. We fight, she said. Cole nodded. The first drone flew close, scanning the ground. Cole fired, hitting it with a precise shot. The drone crashed into the forest, sparks flying. More drones arrived, circling. Cole and Arya moved quickly, using the trees and shadows for cover. Arya reached into her bag and pulled out a small device, a compact EMP grenade. She tossed it toward the nearest drones. A soft pulse erupted and several drones dropped from the sky, lifeless. Cole smiled. Nice move. Arya's eyes shone. I learned a few tricks from my people. The fight continued, fast and tense. But Cole and Arya worked as a team, his marksmanship, her technology, and knowledge. Soon the drones were gone. Silence returned. They stood together, breathing hard but unharmed. Cole looked at Arya. Not bad for a human and an alien. She laughed softly. We make a good team. They walked back toward the cave, careful but relieved. Inside, Cole noticed Arya's eyes lingering on him. What is it? He asked. She stepped closer. You saved me. You gave me freedom from that armor and from fear. Cole shrugged. I just did what anyone should do. She smiled warmly. No, not everyone would. They stood quietly, the firelight casting soft shadows around them. Arya took a deep breath. There is something I must tell you. Cole waited. My people have a custom. When someone saves a life, they become bound to that person by a sacred promise, a pact. It means loyalty, protection, and trust. Cole raised an eyebrow. You want to make a pact? She nodded. With you. Cole smiled. All right, I accept. She reached out her hand. Cole took it gently. The moment felt real and important, a promise between two very different beings, brought together by fate. Outside, the stars continued to shine. Two figures, one human and one alien, stood united, ready to face whatever came next, together.